Hi friends, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Eilynne, and today we are going to be doing, I don't know which order I'm uploading these in. We're doing an installment in my National Suicide Prevention Week videos. Throughout the course of this week, I'm going to be talking about some of the things that I've learned in therapy, what my journey has been like, what remission actually looks like, and things of that nature in case you're interested. But in this video, we are going to be talking about the coping mechanisms that I have learned throughout my history with mental illness. Just so that you guys know, I am not licensed in any way. I'm not a therapist, I'm not a psychologist or anything like that. So take everything that I say with a grain of salt. I'm making this video to hopefully help people, but like I said, I'm not a professional. As I say in all of these videos, if you need emergency help, make sure that you call 911 or the equivalent of that service in whatever country you are in. I will have hotlines and things listed in the description below in case you just need somebody to talk to. Let's talk about some of the coping mechanisms that I have learned throughout my journey. Some of the mental illnesses that I have been diagnosed with are depression, anxiety, OCD tendencies, chronic post-traumatic stress disorder. I don't know why that is so challenging for me to say, but it is. The biggest one that I have always had a hard time managing is my depression, and then second to that is my anxiety. The biggest thing that I have learned with these coping mechanisms is that not all of them will work for you. So if one of these doesn't work for you and you've tried it before, number one, be sure to try it again if you're in a different stage in your life, because things change, people change, different things might work for you at different points in your recovery. And the other thing is that if these don't work for you, be sure to try something else, because something else may work better. And just because one of these doesn't work for you doesn't mean none of them will work for you. I think those are all the kind of disclaimers and stuff that I needed to get out of the way. So let's just get started with the coping mechanisms. We're gonna just kind of go without a script on this one and just kind of as I think of them, which is probably a bad idea, but here we go anyway. So one of the number one things, the one that always works for me, is writing things down. It has been the biggest help with my depression and anxiety. Sometimes I can't physically verbalize everything that I'm feeling, and it helps me to just write out whatever I'm thinking, and then maybe that will get to the root of whatever the anxiety is. And sometimes just acknowledging whatever I'm stressing about is super helpful, even if it doesn't resolve whatever problem is going on. At least I have something that I can bring to therapy or to my friends or whoever it is I am talking with. I have something that maybe we can work together on. So writing has always been the biggest thing, especially if maybe you're crying and you can't physically get anything out. Maybe you don't want to talk about it, or maybe you just need a little bit of a distraction. A lot of times it ends up having a way of coming out anyway. You don't have to write anything profound. Sometimes it's just, I'm sad, over and over and over again. Maybe something will come of that in your brain. Whether you write that down or not is your choice ultimately, but I find it to be super helpful. Especially if you're a creative person, writing is huge. One of the other biggest stress relievers / coping mechanisms for me is obviously talking it out is an option, but exercise in whatever form. I particularly really like weightlifting. I like lifting things up and feeling really strong. In my brain, it processes as I can lift this really heavy thing. I can accomplish anything. I can beat whatever obstacle is in front of me, whatever stressor there is. If I can lift this super heavy object multiple times, I can do that too. Just kind of has a way of minimizing my stressors, and not in a way that is demeaning, but makes it more manageable for me. It also releases endorphins, which is super good for you, and it's healthy. It's a good outlet. It just kind of has a way of wearing you down in a positive way. Obviously, weightlifting is not for everyone, so different exercises. You could just go for a walk. If you enjoy running, you could do that. Swimming is an option. Maybe you just want to hold plank for 30 seconds. I would never do that. Maybe that's what you like to do. Yeah, there's so many different forms of exercise, paddle boarding, things like that if you like water activities. And you don't always have to do it alone. Maybe you can invite someone to go on a walk with you just to get out of the house, because I know that makes me feel better. Pacing is not great because it just kind of loops you back and forth, and for me it tethers me to whatever I'm thinking about. but going on an actual walk, and like something about going linearly kind of helps you get through those thoughts, whereas like pacing keeps you there. That's what I have found anyway. I don't know if there's like any science backing that. That's just my experience. If you need something right in like the heat of the moment to calm you down, counting to 10 is a very common one that does work for some people, as well as making sure that you're taking very slow breaths. So a slow inhale and a very slow exhale. It helps to calm down your heart rate and bring it down a little bit and take you out of that fight or flight mode. It's not one that I always remember to do, so it's almost one that I forgot to put in this video if I'm being honest, but I know that it does help a lot of people, and the slow inhale and exhale definitely helps because, like I said, it takes you out of that fight or flight mode, and for me it can prevent a panic attack, or at least stop one very early on, like while it's kind of settling in. Another one that you can do immediately, but it kind of depends on where you're at. Like if you're at home, it works a bit better. I find that watching comedy shows really calms me down, and this could be whatever form of distraction you need. I really enjoy reading, but reading kind of puts me in that thought stream of consciousness, so I will continue to think about whatever is making me upset or anxious. With watching something though, it kind of eliminates all of that and fully distracts my brain. So I like to watch comedy. I really like to laugh. It's one of my favorite things to do, along with making other people laugh. So I will put on a stand-up comedy or a really funny TV show. If you're looking for recommendations, Friends is a go-to, depending on your sense of humor. Rick and Morty, that's not one that I find funny, but I know it is a popular one. Schitt's Creek, that is one that I really enjoy. Office, it's my favorite. And some comedians, Bert Kreischer, Tom Segura, Daniel Sloss, Nate Bargatze. There are so many, especially on Netflix. Look them up. There are also plenty on YouTube. One of my favorites on YouTube is Andy Woodhall. I think he's really funny, and he is like a clean comic if you're looking for that, or like friends and family are around or something. I also find that cleaning really helps me. Something I find to be overwhelming is a very cluttered space. So by cleaning, I feel like I'm cleaning up the spaces in my mind as well. It's a very like literal transition from clean space to clean mind. It's really weird how it works. It could also be because of my OCD tendency that like kind of comes out, but I think that one is one that works for a lot of people. It's also a stress reliever because you're doing something, you're feeling productive. Back to the writing, if you have a lot going on in your brain and you feel like you need a lot of things done that day or whatever it is, making a to-do list makes me feel 1,000,001 times better, because even if I don't get everything done on that list, I can see what I have to do, and it's less brain power that I'm putting into what is it that I need to do. So making a list, even if you don't like writing out your feelings, that form of writing or putting it in your notes, something, the transference, it just like clears up so much brain space. Because if you're sitting there stressing about what do I have to do, what do I have to do, what do I have to do, I keep forgetting this thing, that thing, it's a lot. It can be really overwhelming and, you know, put you in that very like frantic state. Writing a to-do list, or on the opposite end of that, if you're feeling bad and like you didn't really do much that day, something that I love doing really worked for me to kind of turn around bad days at the end of the night kind of thing. I will literally write out every productive thing that I did that day, even if it just means brushing my teeth, taking a shower, getting dressed. The little things matter, and by stacking all those things up, you feel, oh, I wasn't completely useless. And that list doesn't have to be miles long, but the smaller the tasks you put on there, the more you can put on there and the more accomplished you feel. So sometimes I will have like just laid in bed all day, but you can say like, I took care of my mental health. I took the time to rest. That's another coping mechanism. Reframing the way that you're thinking about things and your perspective is a huge one. So instead of all I did was lay in bed today, I took really good care of myself and rested all day, which my body needed. It might take you a little bit to actually believe them, but it really does work the more that you do it. And even if you just like tell other people that, I find that that works even better. What did you do today? Nothing. I just laid in bed. Instead, I made sure that I got the rest that I needed, because last week was really busy and next week is also going to be busy. That has always been a huge one for me, and it takes a lot of practice. So depending on where you're at in your recovery, that one can be a little bit more like challenging. If that one takes you a little bit longer to kind of get the grasp on, don't worry about it, because number one, there's no sense in worrying. It's a coping mechanism, so just breathe. You will find one. It will be okay. Number two, you already have to put in so much work to get through recovery. Some of the coping mechanisms that take a little bit more time require you to be in a more meditative state. It takes a while. Recovery is a long process and it's not linear. Give yourself some grace. That is the number one thing, is just reminding yourself that you are doing what you can to get better in whatever form that looks like. I hope that these tips were a little bit helpful. Let me know if you have any more down in the comments below. I find learning new coping mechanisms super fun because I like to implement them into my routine. Like, oh, I just got this new drink I want to try, or this new skincare product, or fill in the blank with something you like. That's how I treat it, and I try to get excited about it so that when something like that happens, I'm like, oh, I have this in my toolbox. Let me try it and see if it works. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope that it was helpful. Let me know if you have any other ones down in the comments below. I love chatting and hearing from you guys. I hope you're doing well and taking care of yourself, and I really hope to see you all in my next video. Bye guys.